Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. Excited to be back with Rachel Pfeifer. Yeah, she's the founder of Rekempt Home Organization from Omaha, Nebraska. We get to talk to her live today on the podcast and the Zoomcast. And we're actually going to see some before and afters of her work as well. And if you guys want to visit the website, let's start off by telling everyone it's Rekempt, REKEMPT.com. And let's talk a little about this home organization company that you have. Welcome back. How are you today?
Thank you. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing well, Rachel. Pleasure to see you here and excited to talk more about these services you provide. Could you share a little with our listeners?
Yeah, absolutely. So I started my home organization business about a year ago, and ever since then, I've been going into spaces and making them more functional. So pantries, bathrooms, kitchens, very, very common. I've also done a couple of playrooms, and those are very fun for me. I get to kind of act like I'm a kid again and just get into all of those toys. So yeah, basically it's just I am trying to help people decide what to keep and what to get rid of with intention and really looking at what they have and deciding, do I need this still? I'm never gonna make somebody get rid of anything. But I do think that it's really beneficial to have somebody double checking you.
Yeah, it's so hard though. And I know we've talked about that. There's a lot that goes into that, people's attachments and vulnerabilities. And it's just, I don't want to let that go. Or it's hard, but then it becomes the cluttering mess and we need
Yeah.
to focus on it. And kind of just ask, I know you started the business was about a little over a year ago.
Yep.
Amazing. And before that, were you always the organized type? How did you get into organizing? I think it's important for our listeners to get to know you a little bit before we start.
I was always the organizing type. I definitely always loved cleaning. It was something I found so fun. My mom would give me and my brother chores over the summer, and I would just say, if you fold the clothes, I'll do the rest. Because I just loved doing it. And I always found that my mom was happier when the house was clean. And so it was just kind of nice. But then after I graduated high school, I moved out to Southern California to be
Yeah.
part of the Young Americans performing arts group. And I basically just kind of got into my shell a little bit because I didn't know anybody, and I started like cleaning and organizing everything in my home all the time, and I have always had a blast with
Beautiful.
it.
And for those of you who may not be on the Zoomcast, I could see how well organized her space is behind her. I'm jealous. The bookshelf, the amazing. I guarantee
Yeah.
it's dust free. It looks beautiful. Um,
Thank
all
you
right.
so much.
So, what did you want to kind of address for today's show? Did you want to share some before and afters? I could also let in the other computer screen here for you, and
Yeah.
we'll talk a little about some before and after work. In particular, what rooms do you work in a home? Is it every room? Anything off limits?
It really is every room. I've never had something that's too small. People kind of think, oh, I don't think I could have her come for just one closet, but you really can. And basically, any room that I go into, um, I'm gonna find items that already belong in other spaces. Let's see if I can share this screen here.
No worries.
Mm.
Here we go. All right. So let's see what
So
we
this is
have.
just kind of a little presentation that I put together. It's just for some of my networking groups I do. But I just put
Oh,
together a couple of before and afters. So this is basically just a picture of the process on the left-hand side, and the picture is my somebody's garage with a bunch of cleaning supplies, and on the right is the after. And what I did was I just looked through every item, things that weren't good anymore. I pitched them, things that had two bottles of something, I would mix them, making sure that they are able to be mixed. Be very careful with
yeah,
that with
yeah, yeah.
dairy chemicals. But I also really like these pictures because it brings out that I love to do baskets that are specifically for one thing. So if I'm doing a pantry, I'll do a baking basket because if you're getting your sugar out, you probably also need your flour and your baking powder and all of that stuff. So you might as well just kind of have it all in one bin. That's what I did in this garage with all of the car washing items. So anything that you use to wash your car, you just take that and you're going to use that anytime you're going to wash your car. So I like to group like items and put them in a bin because that helps you to
Well,
know that this is everything I'm going to need to touch.
I was just going to ask, is that like shelving? Did you buy that shelving for them? Was it already there? Is that something that you also can suggest for someone to buy? Because that shelving obviously works great.
Yeah, so that shelving was already there, which was wonderful. I'm trying to remember if I put in one of my favorite closets that I didn't.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
but basically, one of my favorite closets, there was so much empty space behind the door frame, or behind the doorway in the closet. So we got a full shelf and turned that all into footwear storage, like shoes and boots and things. And I just really loved that project because it opened up so much space in the shelves that they already had. So that's kind of stuff that I work on. This was a playroom. I guess I'm not sure, how well you can see those, but it was just a really
Wow.
big, yeah, it's just a really big pile of toys. And when I got in there, I just started separating out.
That looks like my
So
garage. That looks like my garage.
yeah.
Uh,
So it was basically just like, hey, I sat down and got little toys together, big stuffed animals together, all of the kitchen supplies. And this customer already had a lot of the bins. I actually find that very common. People have already tried to put things together, and unfortunately, it just doesn't stick. And so
mhm.
that's where those systems become important. Because if you can teach your kids what those systems are, they might have a better time in the playroom. I did have, so I thought it'd be fun to kind of go over some testimonials. So in this room, basically the homeowner had two kids. They had done a lot of, actually they had three kids. One was just older. They had two young kids. And they had done a lot of fostering and they had gotten to a point where they weren't fostering anymore. And so they didn't really need all of the extra duplicates of things. So we got everything out of there that was a duplicate. And then I used the bins that they already had and really just organized everything out. And she said that after I did that, her kids like felt so much calmer in that space. She just noticed that they weren't quite as hectic when they're in that space, which you can imagine if you walk into a space and there's stuff everywhere, what are you going to focus on? What are you going to do? That's overstimulating for sure for a child. And so if you can get things to be, okay, this is where costume and dress up is, and that's what they want to play with right now. Okay, depending on, what systems you want to put in place. I know kids should just be kids, but there's also a little bit to be said about giving them that responsibility kind of early and just saying, okay, when we're done with dress up, we put dress up away and then we play with Legos or, whenever you switch categories. So, I mean, not trying to tell anybody how to parent. I don't even have kids. I really can't speak to that. But it was just a really fun project, and they said that their kids were a lot calmer in the space afterwards. Um,
Amazing. Wow. Look at the
yeah,
office space. I
I
love this.
know. So basically, this person had their dining room table had become overflow for their desk. And so her and her daughter hadn't eaten at their dining room table in 6 months. And so that was kind of that pain point of like, I just need somebody to get here and fix this. And as you can see in the before picture, it is all papers. And so basically what I did is I took one tub, I divided it into folders, and then I just looked through and I said, this is utilities, this is bills. This is some of your
Yeah.
Congress stuff. Like they were
Wow.
running for office. And so it just was really nice to be able to help them in that way. And I got a text message the next night that said, me and my daughter got to eat at the table for the first time in 6 months, and I'm so happy. And those are the texts that I am looking for, right? It's just kind of those
Yeah.
I've actually changed somebody's life or I've been able to make somebody a little less stressed out. Um, this was kind of her shelving area in that space. And
Yeah.
you can see in the before, it's cluttered and there's just a lot of different stuff. And the after I put them in bins and I did sticky notes just for the customer to know where everything was, but those would be, taken off after she got a good handle on what the spaces were. But It just had like some house hardware, like some home fixer-upper stuff. And there's really no right answer to where things can be located in the home. Some people think, oh, I have to have a garage in order to
Yeah.
keep these things together. And it's like, wherever you decide or wherever you think that's most efficient, we can make it work. But it's just a matter of deciding those things. And sometimes people don't even know where they want to put things. It's very like, will you please just come tell me where to put stuff? I actually did my brother's office.
Wow.
Oh, I'll have to come back to that one. My brother's office, he does a lot of stuff with computers and 3D printing and a lot of sound design. So he had
Amazing.
all of these little things. If you see in this picture on the left,
Yeah.
that was his kind of table that he played with everything and,
Uh-huh.
did all of his activities. And so I set up this system in the closet with bins, and I created sound tools, computer tools, 3D printing tools, electrical tools. And it was interesting because when I left, he actually texted me and said, I think what I'm going to do is turn some of those bins into project bins. So it would be like when he's working on this specific 3D printing project, he can pull out that bin. But I felt really good about the fact that I put systems in place to where he could edit them. I know that my brother has ADHD, and I think it's hard for him to think at this level sometimes,
Hmm.
just what systems could be put in place, how things could be made better. And then once I got him to a place where, like, here's a system, he was able to tweak it and edit it to actually work best for
Oh,
him.
awesome.
So, yeah, so that worked out really well.
Wow.
And then, yeah, that was kind of the after. We just had tools in the little bins, and yeah, that worked really well. Now, when I do functionality, I wanted to put in one example of something that didn't quite work out. So this was a closet, and it was super awesome because she had a lot of extra space behind the stairs here, but she wasn't using it. So
Yeah.
I went ahead and put things into bins and put them in that little space behind the stairs. And then I actually covered that space with the armoire. And so the reason I did that, the armoire was really easy to move so she can get back
Oh,
there, get
good.
her Christmas
It
supplies
looks
and
like it's
stuff.
heavy.
I know it does look like it's heavy, and I was worried it was going to be heavy when I first went in, but then when I got everything emptied out, it was so light. And so you can just kind of pop that open, open it almost like a door, and then you have access to all of your Christmas stuff. So, and then we filled that with shoes. I recently talked to her. She said that this is pretty much maintained, which is the really good thing about getting homes for stuff is that it's easier to maintain. But the one thing that didn't work up in the after photo on the right, there's that 3 drawer bin up there. I was
Hmm.
using that to help utilize all of the storage
Cool.
space. When you have a shelf that has
Yeah.
a lot of space on top of it, it's a really good way to break it up and use it for more than just like, I'm going to put this one thing up here. So we put costumes and, costume jewelry and stuff she wouldn't have to use very often up there. And we were thinking, when she wanted it, she could just pull the whole thing down because it's not like it was very
Yeah.
heavy. But the first time she went to do that, which was probably 2 months after I actually organized her closet, she found out that it gets caught in the hangers and it's a big pain in the butt. So it was so nice to get that feedback and know, not everything you set up right off the bat is going to work perfectly. You have
Yeah.
to be willing to make changes. And so I went back in and we basically found a spot on the floor for it to stay. And so that worked out for her. But I love just working with those customer homeowners and really figuring out, well, what don't you use very often? What do you use? What do you want to have at your fingertips? What can we kind of put behind something and how that all unfolds. So that was, yeah, the closet. I'm trying to think. The office, and then this was just a basement that I did. I really like this picture because one thing that I do, like I've said in the previous podcast, was I like to look around a space and try to find categories. And in this basement, I immediately saw so many things that were for camping specifically.
Hmm.
So it's camping mats and water and a backpack and all of that. So I knew I want this all to be together. And there actually ended up being a closet really nearby
Wow.
that just kind of had some
I was gonna say, yeah,
old
where'd it all go?
pictures that,
Uh-huh.
yeah, right. It just had some old pictures in it that like the homeowner previously had left it. They just hadn't really looked in the closet and done anything with it. And I was like, we're gonna make this a camping closet and a travel closet. So we were able to put, backpacking backpacks, suitcases, like
Yeah.
anything that you need if you're going to go traveling or if you're going to go camping is in that closet. So I just really like to pair things off together so that it's going to be the easiest to work with.
Beautiful. Looks amazing.
Yeah. That's a pantry. If so, I like to work with people within their budget. So if somebody wants to get a bunch of bins, like a lot of the time when you see before and afters on people's websites, you're going to see a before, a bunch of stuff, and an after, a bunch of bins. And I do love that. And some people really like that, having a bunch of bins. In this case, they liked to just rip off the sides of their boxes on oatmeal and breakfast bars and things like that so that they still knew what was in it. And I just think that's perfectly fine. Like you're already given these boxes when you buy these things, and it's faster to take that off than actually transport it into a different container or bin. So I like to just make sure that I'm doing what works best for the customer, because some people, I assume, some people it's easy to be like, oh, I'm just going to get a bunch of bins and fill this up with bins and have a bunch of bins. And it's like, if that's not necessary, if that's not a perfect, like, hey, this is a good solution to a problem, we don't have to get
Yeah.
bins. So I don't know. I kind of like that. And then this was just a linen closet. Sometimes it's as easy as kind of teaching people the best way to fold a towel or the best way to fold fitted sheets. I mean, all of those things a lot of the time can get pretty messy in the linen closet. But you have your bins and then you have your towels. And so I don't know. That was, and then this one is kind of my
I
junk
just
drawer.
curious question for the towel folder in you. How do you do the
Yeah,
towel? Are you like into threes, twos? How do you do it?
I do it. I fold it once long ways and then a second time long ways and then three times.
Okay,
So it
perfect.
makes a really good
That's like the
folded
hotel
edge
fold. I
on
call it
it.
the hotel
Yes,
fold. I like
that's a
it.
good, the hotel fold. Yes. So that is how I do towels. Yes. And then these are just a couple of junk drawers. So like I said, no job too small. I love a good junk drawer. It's really functional when you do get a
Hmm.
junk drawer organized. I don't shy people away from junk drawers. I think there are a lot of things that are just random stuff that you don't know where to put. Let's have a junk drawer, let's have a junk bin, but let's have it be organized. So you're going to still have your electronics together. You're going to still have your pens and, paper together, things
Rubber
like that.
bands, pencils, tape. Yep.
Exactly.
Uh-huh. The same
Yeah.
thing. Looks like my junk drawer. Yep.
So I'm going to stop sharing and pop back over to, I had
Sure.
a couple of talking points here.
Oh, okay.
So I kind of went through the testimonials and then I wanted to go over kind of my target audience.
Sure.
So people
And by
who
the
I've
way, I call you
yeah,
Rachel, but then I see your
yeah.
other. How do you spell
Oh,
your name? Or is it
it's
Rochelle?
spelled weird. It's spelled like Rochelle, Rachelle, but it is Rachel. So I've been
Okay,
telling
perfect. That
Professional
I was like, I
Podcast
hope I've been
Network, it's
calling by the right
Rachel.
name. It says
No,
Rachel
you've
on the
been doing
sheet and on her
perfect.
video. Okay, good.
Yes, so that's something I always have to clear up with people. It's Rachel. Um, Target audience, if you're moving and want somebody to help you get settled into your new home, I can do the packing. It could be just one room, it could be the whole house, whatever you're thinking. Sometimes people get overwhelmed when you have a full, fresh new slate. Maybe you went from a two-bedroom to a four-bedroom. You don't know what to put in the extra bedrooms. Whatever
Hmm.
that looks like, I can work with you to figure out where things should go. Um, I've wanted to get into like helping people relocate for work because I think that a lot of the time when you're relocating for work, that's such a
Yeah.
nuisance to have to set up your new space. So helping people with that. Um, Getting somebody moved into assisted living or senior care center. A lot of the time they need to downsize or declutter, and I can help with that. One thing that I see when people move into a smaller location, a lot of the time is they get one storage unit or maybe four storage units.
Yes. They
That's
get
a lot of,
expensive.
they do. And that's also after a while, you're really kind of just putting off the inevitable. If you really need to go through those things, let's get through them so you don't have to pay for all of that storage. So that is something I really want to help people with. And then if you have a loved one who's passed away, getting in there and cleaning their home. I know a lot of a lot of boomers right now, I think, are really getting to the point where their parents are dying or passing away. And if they were still in a home and maybe still have a lot of stuff, that can cause so much decision fatigue. You have maybe younger kids and you're trying to do your full-time job. And the idea of getting into your loved one's home to get all that stuff together can be really overwhelming. What I would do is talk to the family, find out what things we can absolutely get rid of. So trash cans, appliances, cleaning supplies,
Good
and
to
then get
know.
it all into one space.
Mm-hmm.
And then they can look at the stuff that actually means something and decide from there if they want to keep things. Because I just see so often people say, I don't want to keep any of it because they're just overwhelmed by the process. So having somebody come in and kind of help with that process before you get in that overwhelmed state, I think can be helpful.
I'm with you on that one. I get overwhelmed. I'm there. We've talked about it, but okay, good.
Yeah.
Uh, what other things did you want to bring up to people like us who need your help?
Yes, absolutely. I also like to let people know I am one of the things I do provide is resources. I am part of quite a few networking groups. And so I have met a lot of people in a lot of different industries. So if you're looking for somebody to be a plumber, if you're looking for somebody who you need your roof fixed or something, a lot of the time people don't know who to call. Realtors kind of end up being that go-to a lot of the time. A person will call their realtor and be like, where am I supposed to go to get this taken care of? But I like to provide that as a service as well, just so that people know, where they can go to get trustworthy service. I do have some strategic partners. One of them is a like junk haul removal. So I know that it's somebody in Omaha who is reasonably priced who can work with me, and I get that discount. That I can pass on to my customers, and then we can get things out of your house because sometimes that's a big pain too. Um, Other strategic partners that I would love to pair with realtors, estate planners, moving companies, assisted living facilities, life coaches, anybody who's going through a change in their life. There's generally something that could be done at home that would make that process a little less stressful. So I can help with anything like that. And I do want to say that I also, unfortunately, I don't deal with people who are genuinely struggling with a hoarder mentality in like a mental health way. Unfortunately, it can be a health or a safety issue or concern. I've been in homes that were hoarder homes, and there was cat puke, mouse poop on the floor. I mean, it was just a bad health situation. So I don't go into those situations. And I do know people who do that. I do know people who clean up if somebody, died in the home, like things like that. That's not my, that's really not really where I'm at. I like to organize this stuff and try to help people figure out what they need and what they don't need. So, yeah, I love to get you set up with systems that are manageable. I love a repeat customer, but I do try to help the systems be manageable enough that you can maintain it yourself and have that be sustainable so you're not having me come back every month. I will say, even in my own pantry, I rekempt my own pantry once every 4 months. So if that's something that people are doing and they think that that's not right, I think that's pretty common. You're going to the store, you're buying new stuff, you're kind of always switching out where things are. When I organize a pantry, it's going to be here's breakfast items, here's dinner items, and that way you can have a space that's delegated to that stuff. So even if it is changing out, you still have a place to put it. But even in my own home, it's still, you still fall behind for sure. So,
Love it. Love it.
yeah.
Wow, you are amazing. This work you're doing. By the way, do you do virtual work? Could you help someone like me in New York?
I could definitely help someone like you. I feel like I do a pretty good job. And honestly, what I will say is if you like join me on my Facebook, which would be facebook.com/rekempt54, the letters or the numbers 54. If you join me on my Facebook, I'm doing little challenges and decluttering challenges. So it will be like a week-long challenge. And every day you get rid of something different. You can post it in the comments or say what you got rid of just so you can have some accountability. I also want to be doing, it'll be like, we're going to clean out your office for this week. And every day you set aside 10 minutes. And the first day, our 10 minutes is going to be spent throwing away trash. And that's all you're going to do that day. You break it down into smaller projects so that it's easier to tackle. So then the second day, you might look for everything that has a different home. So anything that goes to the bathroom or the kitchen and it's in your office, let's get it out of that space. And that's all you do for 10 minutes. And then that's what you do that day. So I like to help people break it down into more manageable projects. And I think that I could definitely do that in a virtual way. So if you ever need any help, Jill, I'm here for you. I
Thank you.
am
Thank you.
absolutely willing to take that on.
Well, thank you again. And we still got 2 minutes left. My goodness. How did it go so fast? How did you want to leave off for today?
Yeah, absolutely. So I know you said it at the start, but I'll say it again. My name's Rachel Pfeifer. It is Rekempt Home Organization. I made up that word. It was a play off of the word unkempt. I think a lot of the time when people move in, they set things the way they want them, and then things kind of get out of control slowly as you grow into your home and it becomes unkempt. So what I want to do is come into a home and help you rekempt it, get it back looking good, get it back into a place where it's manageable and clean. And so that is the business name. You can get me at www.rekempt.com. You can email me at rekempt@gmail.com. My phone number 402-350-5374. And you can also visit my Facebook page. So facebook.com/Rekempt54. So those are a couple places you can find me. I love helping people, and I am
I
more
know.
than willing to come up with different ideas and plans for, moving forward. So if you're someone who lives out of town or someone who,
Yeah.
just isn't comfortable with someone coming in the house yet, maybe we can find a solution. So
Beautiful. And thank you for today for showing the before and afters. I think that's always
yeah.
helpful if somebody has pictures. I think seeing is believing to see the work that you could do.
Yes.
And I love that. It's also a feeling of like, I did it. I completed the project. And
The
I'm sure that can
accomplishment.
help you put that on someone's fridge. Like, remember when I came in and helped you organize that toy room? It looked like this. Let's try
And
to keep it
now,
as close to this
yeah,
picture. We don't want to go back. I mean, I think that's a good thing
exactly.
to send your
Yeah.
clients all the before and afters. Make sure they keep that as a
Yes.
memento. Make a
Look at
magnet,
what it
make it like
used
a
to
thank
look
you
like.
gift. Yes. Like I
Yeah.
don't mind the work coming back in a year, but try to keep it like this. Thank you
Maybe a 2-week
again.
follow-up. Yes,
All
thank
right.
you so much,
Well,
Jill.
pleasure having you back and looking forward to the next time we connect and great work again. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, I mean, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house.
And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.